Attention, the following broadcast has been approved by Outcasted OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, guys? It's Courtney here from the Outcasted OC podcast, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. I'm not wasting any time with any more introductions. Let's get straight into what happened, because the first 20 to 30 minutes of Raw was pretty much just Judgment Day based, which I'm not complaining. So we started off Raw this week by seeing basically a recap of everything that's happened. So we saw what happened at SummerSlam with Rhea Ripley being betrayed by Dominic and Liv, which then led later on into the evening of Damian being screwed over by Finn Balor. We then saw what happened last week as well too on Monday Night Raw. Now, if you guys listened to the review, you would definitely know what happened. And then we actually end up seeing the Judgment Day has arrived to the arena, as well as Randy Orton, Sami Zayn, and Braun have all showed up. But the show actually kicked off with Rhea coming out, and she had a thunderous pop, a thunderous ovation. She is the biggest babyface in all of professional wrestling right now. She begins by saying that she's had some time to think about what happened at SummerSlam, and she's felt all of the emotions since that moment in time. She's felt embarrassment, she's felt heartbreak, but more than anything right now, she's just incredibly pissed the hell off, which, I mean, pop off, queen, you do your thing. She said that Dom stabbed her in the back and it wasn't deep enough, which that is a sex joke, unless you didn't know that. But anyway, then she goes ahead and says that, Liv Morgan has done everything that she's done, but she's run away with the championship and she can't run away forever. And she reminds them both who she is. And Liv comes out with Dom. And they're standing at the top of the, seats. And she basically goes ahead and says that, let's let Dom say some things. Let's get him to get some stuff out. And Dom is trying his best. He's trying his hardest to speak, and he's getting booed. But he says to Rhea that he deserves to be treated like a man. And, why did you go ahead and try and change me instead of just letting me be me? You've gone ahead and bossed me around all this time, making me call you mommy. But I finally found a girl who can call me daddy. And I'm like, I've tuned out after this point. I'm like, there's too many. When there's a good thing and then you ruin it by just continuing on the joke? It's kind of like, that's when enough's enough. Anyway, so he goes ahead and says that, Liv gives me chicken tendies whenever I want. She lets me play video games for as long as I want. She just lets me be me, and she did the one thing that you couldn't do, which everyone's like, oh my god, another sex joke, finally helped me beat my deadbeat dad. And Rhea looks at him and goes, you know what? I'm actually really proud of you, and I'm super proud of everything that you've accomplished over the last few years, and you did it for yourself. You've done something for yourself. You've won gold. But it's the last decision that you'll be ever making is becoming a man. And then Liv, in a whiny little voice, goes ahead and says that Dom is a man and he's all mine. You have nothing. I've taken your family as well. Everything you've loved is mine. And Rhea's like, look, shut the hell up at this point. You haven't taken everything from me. My weak links, yes, you have, but you're going to have to kill me before you stop me. And I was like, oh. And then she's like, it's actually kind of funny because we've found out where you are. And then Damian kind of just walks up behind Dom and Liv, and it just gives me very Undertaker vibes, the way he kind of just came out of nowhere. He grabs Dom and they start brawling at the top of the arena, and then Liv ends up trying to jump on Damian, and then Mami just literally shows up out of nowhere. She's got that super speed and starts brawling with Liv as well. And then Dom and Damian make their way down the stairs, make their way back into the ring, as well as Rhea does as well too. And then Carlito ends up attacking Damian, and we go to a commercial break. But when we come back, we have the match between Damian and Carlito. So I believe Damian is trying to take out every single member of the Judgment Day. He took out JD last week, and he does a really great job in this match too. The match does start after the commercial break, but Damian's in control and he chases Carlito. Carlito hits a really nice DDT. Damian ends up getting mad, but then Carlito hits a really nice suplex, and then we had a commercial break, but when we come back, we end up seeing Damian hit a super slick spinning heel kick, and then he ends up clotheslining Carlito. He hits the South of Heaven and secures the win. JD McDonough runs in and attacks Damian from behind, and the rest of the Judgment Day come out to attack Damian. Rhea comes out to make the save, and there's a moment in the ring where Dom is there, and Damian attacks him, and then Rhea gets him, because that would be kind of funny if Liv got him. Rhea gets him, and then we end up seeing Liv make the save. So this obviously pushes the storyline further down the line. It has actually been confirmed as well too, since the filming of Monday Night Raw, that we are going to be getting a mixed tag match for Bash in Berlin. So we're going to be getting Liv and Dom going up against Rhea and Damien. I think that's going to be interesting to see where that goes. We head backstage for a little bit and we see the Alpha Academy is prepping for their Tornado tag match later on, and Ivy catches up with Maxine and is like, are you sure you want to go out there and support your boys, or I feel like you should stay back? And Maxine's like, no, it's all good, like, I'll be fine, and I want to support my boys. And then we see the New Day is backstage, and they have a moment with Odyssey Jones as well, and then we end up getting a Wyatt 6 video. Now it's Bo Dallas looking in front of an old TV that's really staticky, and he talks about how everything is full circle. Everything's feeling really heavy, and there are a lot of emotions since last week because it's where it all started. The Wyatt 6 debuted, where it all began, and something big is happening, and the work isn't done. And he looks at the TV and he continues to repeat the phrase, my life for you, my life for you, my life for you. He says it about like 6 or 7 times. And then Uncle Howdy shows up on the TV and says, there you are, and that's how it ends. So I'm assuming that whatever we're going to be seeing coming in from the Wyatt 6 will be following that video. Up next, we had Odyssey Jones's in-ring debut, and he took on Vincent Winey. I believe he's somebody from the Performance Center. This was pretty much just a squash match. Odyssey dominated during the entire match and secured the win. The Final Testament come out, and Karrion goes ahead and asks, is it another day for the New Day or just more lies? Kofi's using Odyssey to replace Big E, and he's also using him to replace you, Xavier. And then they basically just set up a tag match for next week, which is cool, but I feel like we've seen this before, but that's okay. Adam is backstage and he is obviously on the phone to somebody. Drew McIntyre comes in and he talks about how he's looking for his future. He's not thinking about CM Punk. CM Punk is in the past. He asks, why is Randy here? Randy's the snake in the grass, and he goes on to talk about how he's been screwed over so many times, and he says that he's going to take care of this. And Adam's like, no, like the last time someone said they were going to take care of something last week, Bronson Reed took out Seth Rollins, and he's like, no, trust me, like I'm on my best behavior, like I'm a veteran for a reason, like it's absolutely fine. So then we have the tag match, which is the Texas Tornado tag match with Alpha Academy and American Made. A lot of carnage from the beginning. If you do not know, a Texas Tornado match is when everybody is involved. So the Creeds are in control, and then we hit a commercial break. But when we come back, Otis is being thrown around, and Tozawa tries to help, but American Made are too strong for them. And then there's a moment where Tozawa hits a really nice double DDT, and we get a double clothesline coming in from Otis as well. Akira hits another gear, and he hits a suicide dive outside of the ring, and then the Creeds end up setting Otis into the Brutus Bomb, but he ends up countering this into a superplex, and then we end up seeing Akira hit 1-2. Ivy Nile comes out and turns on Maxine, her former friend, and she sets her up on the table, and Otis tries to go ahead and save Maxine, but then the Creeds use this distraction to secure the win. So American Made have won this. Chad Gable is not there because he's actually at the Paris Olympics, and Michael Cole mentioned Diamond Mine, which is quite cool, so I'm really hoping that that kind of plays into everything we see on TV from this point onwards. Jackie Redmond caught up with Pete Dunne earlier on in the day before Raw happened because she wants to get to the bottom of what's going on with Pete Dunne and his erratic behaviour. And she's asking a lot of questions, and he very much just starts off by saying that he was never under Sheamus's wing. I elevated him and it got me nowhere, and he continues to ask, if we're talking about Sheamus, what's actually happened with Rich? And then we end up seeing Jackie Redmond bring up the name Butch, and that's quite a triggering word for Pete Dunne. He talks about Butch. He's like, I never want to be called that again. I was called that for 2 years and told to suppress myself. I'm an 18-year veteran, and if I have to beat Sheamus, I will. Then we end up having this like raw physics promo on Bronson Reed. It just talks about a whole lot of his strength and stuff. I'm not really going to go into it too much, but it was quite cool. And then Adam Pearce is mad at Bronson Reed for attacking Seth Rollins, and Bronson's like, look, if you don't give me an opponent, I'm just going to go ahead and find my next victim. Damage Control cut a promo. It is just Io and Kairi, because as we all know, Dakota is out with injury and Asuka is as well too. So they talk about how they're going to take on the tag champs and how they are going to become new tag team champions. And then I have been asking for this for weeks, but I'm not happy with what has happened. So we had a response promo to the Damage Control one, because Damage Control called out Zoe, Shayna, and oh my god, Sonya. See? This name thing has got me so peeved. There's a response promo from these three ladies in response to Damage Control. And they have now been called the Pure Fusion Collective. I wish I was making this up because it sounds like a brand of kombucha. But no, I'm not making it up. They cut a promo in response to Damage Control and their name is now the Pure Fusion Collective. Just let that sit for a little bit. But what we end up getting is a tag match between Damage Control, so Io and Kairi, taking on the Pure Fusion Collective, literally just being Zoe and Shayna. Michael Cole mentions on commentary how Dakota Kai is going to be out for 8 to 10 weeks, and so I'm wishing her a super speedy recovery. I feel like she has not got to do much this year, and it actually really bugs me so incredibly much because she's such an amazing talent, and I really just need her to be pushed more when she's able to. Anyway, Io and Shayna start, and then Kairi and Io do a double missile drop kick. They are on fire during this match. Kairi especially looks incredibly strong. She has a really nice sliding forearm, and then Zoe and Shayna end up dominating, but we hit a commercial break, and when we come back, Kairi hits a DDT onto Shayna, and then Io ends up attacking Zoe quite a bit. They play into that previous history with the two of them as well. There's a lot of carnage going on, and then Io ends up hitting Zoe with the moonsault, but the tag champs have been involved in this match. They get assaulted on the outside, so they make their presence known, causing this match to end in a disqualification, and they just attack everybody. There's a moment between Miz and Truth and Randy Orton backstage. I'm not really going to go into the nitty-gritty of it too much because we all know how Miz and Truth segments go. You go in with 2 brain cells and you leave with 1 because you don't even know what you watched. But Randy Orton is on Raw this week to confront Gunther, and he makes his way out to the ring and starts to cut a promo talking about how the history of Randy Orton 20 years ago, he won the world title for the first time, and he was the youngest world champion in history. And in a few short weeks, history is going to repeat itself when I become a 15-time champion. Gunther ends up coming out and says, maybe we should take a pic of this. You know, this is the greatest of all time. Let's be honest, you're the most natural and gifted, talented wrestler, but you've gone ahead and wasted this. This is a new era, and in my era, there is no room for people who waste their potential, and you won't play a role anymore. And Randy goes ahead and says, look, I've never claimed to be perfect. I've made mistakes. I've owned up to them and I've changed my course. And he goes ahead and introduces himself, and he talks about how he's got 5 kids. He's got an amazing wife. He's a 14-time champion. He's done all this cool stuff, and he's going to become a 15-time champion. And Gunther responds to this by saying, you know, this is incredibly predictable. I'm going to be giving you a beating of a lifetime, and you're never going to be world champion again. And you always screw it up when it matters the most. And he references how his grandfather, as in Randy's grandfather's a screw up, Randy's father is a screw up, and he is the biggest screw up of them all, which this really gets Randy super rattled. And then Drew McIntyre comes out, and this ends up causing a distraction for Gunther, and he gets hit with an RKO. And then as Drew's walking down to the ring, CM Punk ends up attacking Drew McIntyre with a belt, and they both just end up brawling. Now, it was referenced earlier on in the day that apparently CM Punk had some travel issues, but this was all just a white lie for CM Punk to go ahead and catch Drew McIntyre off guard. I love a man who knows another man's travel schedule and knows that he can go ahead and just completely ruin his day by just coming out of nowhere. Jackie Redmond's catching up with Sheamus backstage, and they start talking about the beef that he has with Pete, and they just go on, and then Ludwig comes in and goes, hey, you know what happened last week? Yeah, that's not over. And then Pete Dunne ends up attacking Sheamus from behind, and I was like, bro, why you gotta do this? Just use your words. Tell him why you're upset. He might be able to help you. And CM Punk is catching up with Kathy, and they are talking about how they were on the same flight. She's like, look, I know you had no travel issues. I literally was sitting next to you on the plane. And he goes ahead and he says, you know, I just told a white lie to deter Drew, and I want to get my hands on Drew, but it's not about the bracelet anymore. It's about the context. It's about the names that are on that bracelet. He's like, if anything, Drew can keep the bracelet, but I'm going to go ahead and show him what it means. So that was really exciting to see that it may continue. Who we're going to be seeing on TV more often. So it's been made official a couple of weeks ago that Mark Henry's son Jacob has now been signed to the WWE, and he's going to be reporting to the NXT Performance Center. We actually got to see Mark Henry and his son in the crowd, which is super cool to see. This was just before the match between Miz and Bronson. Now this was super short, and this was very much just to continue the story of Bronson just being an absolute killer. So they start exchanging blows, and then Bronson attacks kicks Miz like a bowling ball, and then after the break, Miz is taking advantage and he ends up countering Bronson's DDT. Miz ends up hitting his it kicks, and then we end up seeing a Death Valley driver followed by a tsunami by Bronson, and then there's a moment where it looks like Bronson's going to go up for another tsunami on Miz, but then Truth ends up saving Miz, and then it's just a repeat of what happened last week, the decimation of R-Truth at the hands of Bronson Reed. So it's clear to see that they are pushing Bronson. Ross, if you're watching this, I'm going to talk to you about it on Friday anyway. I'm very happy to see that your boy's being pushed because he does deserve it. Sami Zayn is catching up with Jey Uso backstage before the main event, and they are talking about how he's going to get his title back. He's going up against Braun Breaker in a 2 out of 3 falls match later on this evening. And then we have a Judgment Day promo, and they're obviously trying to go ahead and laugh at Damian and Rhea for not being a part of the group anymore, about how there's no leaders, there's no egos, we're all just here for each other. I prefer Damian and Rhea. I'm sorry. I do love me some Finn Balor. I do like Finn, but I can't get behind this new Judgment Day. I think it's just the women in the faction that's kind of making it a bit difficult for me. If you know, you know. But anyway, we've made it to the main event, and it is Braun Breaker taking on Sami Zayn. Now, this is a 2 out of 3 falls match, and this is for the Intercontinental Championship. The match starts off really explosive. Braun is super explosive and slams Sami onto the mat. Sami hits a haluva kick and secures the first fall. Then Sami ends up fighting Braun outside of the ring, and then Braun ends up sending Sami into the barricade. He hits a Frankensteiner and a gorilla press, followed by a spear, and he gets the second fall, so they are both 1-1. Whoever gets this last fall ends up securing the win. Braun ends up jumping off the ring apron onto the commentary table to attack Sami, and then he ends up spearing Sami off the top ropes because Sami looks like he's going to jump up, and wins the match because he gets the third fall. So Braun Breaker is still the Intercontinental Champion. This means hopefully we will be moving on from Sami Zayn trying to regain his title. I've enjoyed this trilogy of matches. I think it's been really good. It's gotten better and better as we go, and I'm really excited to see who's in line next for Braun Breaker in that Intercontinental Championship. And that brings us to the end of the Monday Night Raw review for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure you go ahead and show us some love and support by liking the video, as well as commenting something that you enjoyed about Monday Night Raw this week. Are you excited for Bash in Berlin? Are you excited for the Gunther and Randy match? Make sure to let us know down below, as well as subscribing to the channel. Please make sure you go ahead and do that and turn on the bell icon next to it. Those are your notifications. If you turn those on, you will not miss any of our uploads because YouTube will notify you as soon as we have posted. While you're there as well too, you should absolutely check out the description. You can find all of the links to where you can find Outcasted OC on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok, as well as all of our personal social medias, so you can keep up to date with what we're doing when we're not posting on the YouTube channel. As always, NXT review coming in from Reese later on this week, as well as the podcast on Thursday, and the SmackDown review coming in later on this week from G as well. I've been Courtney from the Outcasted OC. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for all the love and support you guys have been showing on the channel as of late. We absolutely appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the podcast this week. Bye guys.